Mayette from Killer Infographics in Fremont. Thanks for having us out, Amy.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk today about visual communication and how to connect with the new media consumer. So first, Amy, just give us a little bit of background. What is Killer Infographics?
Killer Infographics is actually one of the world's leading infographic design agencies at this point. We've been around for a couple of years. We started in Ballard and now we're in Fremont. We focus on creating infographics, motion graphics, and interactive infographics for all of our clients. Infographics are taking data or information and visualizing it in a way that somebody can easily digest that data and information.
Okay, great. So what would you say has made infographics popular over the last couple of years? It seems like they've really kind of been on this rise for the last couple of years.
Yeah, they've really exploded. There's a lot of reasons infographics have become really popular. Honestly, I think that their original rise to popularity was because of marketing dollars. Infographics are a fantastic tool for online marketing and gaining inbound links. But over the past couple of years, they've been more embraced for the fact that they offer a better form of communicating with the end user. We're kind of in a world now where there's what everybody's calling the new media consumer, and it's kind of that consumer who's raised by the iPad, if you will.
Right.
This is somebody who expects to interact with everything and expects information to be given to them in a way that is intriguing. It's not a user who wants to do a lot of reading. It's instead a consumer that really wants to get in as much information as possible, as fast as possible.
Right.
And infographics make that very easy to do.
Okay. So how do you think, or I guess how do you know that brands are using infographics currently? Because you're making them for companies and they're using them for something. What are they using them for?
There's a variety of uses. So when we started, the majority of our clients were coming to us specifically because they wanted to use infographics to gain inbound links to their website.
Okay.
Over the past year, though, we've seen a lot of clients come to us saying that they want an infographic to be like the backdrop of a display booth because they want their display booth to stand out at a conference.
Right.
Or they want an infographic as a sales leave behind because they've spent all this time explaining their product to a client. They want to give their clients something that they can take with them to constantly refer back to. And we've had other clients who've come to us and actually have had us work on designing infographics for textbooks for high school, middle school, college, so that they can better teach the information that we've been teaching for 10s, 20,
Right.
hundreds of years even, but actually get that information to really connect with their audience.
Right. Okay. So I know that one of the kind of like the big arguments for infographics is they used to be filled with just data, right? It was all about the data and organizing it in a way that was digestible. And I think now, because infographics are kind of trending, there's this. It's almost more about this like really cool design than this actual display of information.
Yeah.
What's your kind of thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I actually think that the word infographic itself has evolved to such a sense where an infographic is visualizing information,
Right.
but it's not visualizing data. Data visualization is a bucket in the infographic design umbrella. But there's also what we call viral visualization. Viral visualization is taking an idea or a theme and visualizing that. So for instance, one of our most popular infographics that we designed was geek versus nerd. We did find some data about that, but we primarily just took stereotypes and poked fun at them and created a very fun illustration for it.
Right.
And then there's also motion graphics. We feel like those fit into the infographic bucket. They're not static designs, instead they're animated designs that really get information across both visually and audibly.
Right.
And then interactive infographics are kind of another bucket. So there's all these different buckets in infographic design, and I've only named a few. So while there's a debate that infographics should visualize data, we disagree. We do plenty of data visualization for our clients, but we also think that there are so many other ways to use infographics because there's this new media consumer that needs information given to them in a certain way. We think visual communications the way to go.
So one of the questions that I have, I don't know a whole lot about infographics and how they're used. Are there any purposes besides marketing that people use infographics for?
Yeah, definitely. When I was talking earlier about how infographics can be used to educate students in the classroom, that's a huge purpose for infographics right now. Infographics are also starting to be used in our day-to-day. We have a lot of clients who come to us and ask us to do infographics for the various mobile apps that they're creating.
Right.
Because we have a generation of people who use these mobile apps to get consistent information about themselves. And so we have plenty of clients who say, well, I want a mobile graph that can be presented to the end user every single day, letting them know how much food they consumed for the day, what choices they made for the day, etc. And so there's infographics are being used for that as well. I think that the fact that we have a world where there's just so much data and so much information out there that there's an infinite use for infographics to take that data and information and package it in a way that people will appreciate it more.
Right. Okay, so I think we have, we know that infographics are trending. Even if you're not in the technology space, you see infographics all over the place. Do you have any fear that, that that's going to start going downhill, or that the need for them is going to go away, or what do you think the future of infographics is?
When we started Killer Infographics, we actually wondered if it had an expiration date. It was something that my business partner and I were jumping into a world that we hadn't been in before because we come from a marketing background, and so it was a little bit scary at first when we weren't sure if infographics were just a trend.
Right.
Now we have a completely different outlook. We think that infographics are going to become the norm in everybody's life. The fact that they're being used in iPhone applications, for instance, is just one good indication of that. But additionally, we do think that as the accessibility of motion graphics and interactive infographics increases, those will be in higher demand than the simple static infographic. We definitely believe that motion graphics and interactive infographics are going to be more of the norm than the static infographic in the future. And luckily we're able to produce those in spades as well.
Cool. Okay, so one of the things that I'm kind of curious about, I'm sure you guys have made all these infographics. Is there one in particular that stood out as, other than, I know you talked about the geeks versus, what was it?
Geek versus nerd.
Geek versus nerd. Are there any other ones that stood out as like really kind of impressive, fun, good marketing infographics?
Yeah, I mean, we've had quite a lot that I'm really proud of. We've actually designed, at this point, over 3,000 infographics in the 2.5 years that we've been doing this. So there's quite a lot on that list.
Right.
We did just win a bunch of awards for what we call our Versus series. Geek versus Nerd, Geek versus Hipster, Seattle Geek versus Silicon Valley Geek, Zombies versus Ninjas. So that was just a fun series that we did. But we've also had the opportunity to do a lot of infographics that will be eventually shown in textbooks, and those are the ones I'm most proud of because they have this great opportunity to educate younger generations in a way that has never happened before. And it was just one of the most rewarding experiences to be a part of that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Amy, thank you for having us out.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is Amy Balliet from Killer Infographics.